The airplane cabin was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like everyone is lost in their own thoughts somewhere above the clouds. A young mother sat by the window, her baby sleeping softly against her chest. She looked tired, more than tired, like life had been asking too much of her for too long. Then suddenly, as she reached into her worn handbag, something slipped out and fluttered to the floor. A small photograph. The man sitting beside her picked it up without thinking. But the moment his eyes landed on it, everything changed. His face went pale. His hand trembled. And in a voice that broke the silence around them, he whispered, "You were never going to tell me?" Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, make sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Welcome to Kin Choice Corner, where every story reminds us that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. The woman's name was Emily Carter. She was 28 years old, a single mom, and doing everything she could to stay afloat. Life hadn't been easy. She worked 2 part-time jobs, one at a diner, the other cleaning offices at night, just to pay rent and keep food on the table. Her baby boy, Noah, was her entire world. Every decision she made revolved around him. That flight wasn't a vacation, it was a last chance. Emily had scraped together every dollar she could to travel from Ohio to Seattle for a job interview. A real job, one with benefits, stability, a future. She didn't know anyone in Seattle, but she knew she had to try. For Noah, she adjusted her baby's blanket gently, making sure he was comfortable. He had her eyes soft, kind, and full of quiet strength. People often smiled when they saw him, but Emily always felt a small ache in her chest when they asked about his father, because she never had a simple answer. The man sitting next to her didn't look like someone who shared her world. He was sharply dressed, his suit crisp, his watch expensive. His posture was confident, his presence commanding. He seemed like the kind of man who lived in boardrooms and high-rise offices, not cramped airplane seats. His name was Daniel Hayes, a CEO, a man who had built a multi-million-dollar company from the ground up. People admired him, feared him, respected him, but very few truly knew him. And right now, he was staring at a photograph like it had just rewritten his entire life. Emily noticed the silence. She turned slightly and saw the photo in his hand. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said quickly, reaching for it. "That must have fallen out." But Daniel didn't let go. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice tight. Emily frowned, confused. "It's mine." His eyes lifted to meet hers. There was something in them now, shock, disbelief, and something deeper, something almost like hurt. "This photo," he said slowly. "This baby, how old is he?" Emily hesitated. "He's 6 months." Daniel swallowed hard. 6 months. His mind was racing now, connecting dots he didn't even know existed. He looked back at the photo. It was a simple picture, just a baby, wrapped in a soft blue blanket, smiling up at the camera. But there was no denying it. The resemblance. The same eyes. The same small curve of the lips. He had seen that face before. Every morning, in the mirror. "You were never going to tell me?" he said again, this time louder. Emily's heart began to pound. "I don't understand. Tell you what?" Daniel leaned back slightly, running a hand through his hair. He looked like a man trying to hold on to control, while everything slipped through his fingers. "Emily," he said carefully, "we met, about a year ago, in Chicago." And suddenly, her world stopped. Chicago, the conference, the unexpected conversation that turned into coffee, that turned into something she hadn't planned. She had told herself it was just a moment, just 2 people crossing paths. She never expected to see him again. "You're Daniel?" she whispered. He gave a small, almost bitter smile. "Yeah, I am." Emily felt her chest tighten. She looked down at Noah, sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the storm unfolding around him. "I didn't know how to find you," she said softly. "And even if I did, I didn't think you'd want to know." Daniel stared at her, stunned. "Didn't want to know?" he repeated. "Emily, you're talking about a child. Our child," she said quietly. The words hung in the air between them. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The plane hummed softly around them, but it felt like everything else had faded away. "I would have helped," Daniel said finally. "You should have told me." Emily shook her head gently. "Help isn't what I needed." He frowned. "Then what did you need?" She looked at him, her eyes steady despite the exhaustion behind them. "Certainty," she said, "and I didn't have that." Daniel didn't know what to say. This wasn't how his life worked. Problems had solutions. Decisions had logic. But this was something else. He looked at Noah again. Really looked this time. A tiny human being, his son. And suddenly, something shifted inside him. Not fear, not anger, something softer, something human. "What's his name?" he asked quietly. "Noah." Daniel nodded slowly. "Hi, Noah," he murmured, almost to himself. The rest of the flight passed in a strange, quiet understanding. They talked awkwardly at first, then more openly. Emily shared her struggles, her fears, her hopes for Noah. Daniel listened, really listened, in a way he hadn't done in years. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't thinking about business deals or profit margins. He was thinking about people. When the plane landed, reality came rushing back. Emily gathered her things, preparing to step into an uncertain future once again. "I have an interview," she said, adjusting Noah in her arms. "I should go." Daniel stood too. "Where?" She hesitated, then told him. "A small company. Not his." He nodded. "Let me help," he said. Emily shook her head gently. "I appreciate that, but I need to do this on my own." Daniel looked at her, seeing not just the woman from a year ago, but the strength she had built since then. "Then at least let me walk you out," he said. She smiled faintly. "Okay." They walked through the airport together, side by side, like two strangers connected by something much bigger than either of them had expected. At the exit, Emily paused. "This is where we say goodbye," she said softly. Daniel looked at her, then at Noah. "No," he said gently. "This is where we start doing better." Emily blinked, surprised. "I can't change the past," he continued, "but I can choose what I do next, and I want to be part of his life, not just financially. Really be there." Emily studied his face, searching for doubt, for hesitation, but she didn't find it. She found sincerity, and something else. Kindness. "Okay," she said. And in that simple word, everything changed. Weeks passed. Emily got the job. It wasn't easy, but it was stable. A fresh start. And Daniel kept his promise. He showed up. Not with grand gestures or flashy displays, but with consistency, with patience, with effort. He learned how to hold Noah properly, how to soothe him when he cried, how to laugh at the small, beautiful moments he had once overlooked. And slowly, something began to grow. Not just a bond between a father and his son, but a deeper understanding between two people who had once been strangers. One evening, as they sat together watching Noah take his first wobbly steps, Daniel turned to Emily. "Thank you," he said. She looked at him, surprised. "For what?" "For giving him a chance," he said. "And for giving me one too." Emily smiled softly. "Kindness," she said, "isn't always easy, but it's always worth it." Daniel nodded. And in that moment, he understood something he had spent years overlooking. Success wasn't measured in money or power. It was measured in moments like this. Moments of connection, moments of care, moments of choosing kindness, even when it's complicated. Because sometimes, all it takes is a single momented dropped photograph, a second chance, a simple act of understanding to change everything. And maybe, just maybe, the world becomes a little brighter every time we choose kindness over fear. So the next time life gives you a choice, remember Emily and Daniel. Remember that behind every face is a story you may not understand. And remember that kindness, real, honest kindness, has the power to rewrite lives, including your own.